Welcome to Socially Served. I'm your host, Frank Sroka. And as you know, Socially Served was produced for you, the consumer, to make informed decisions. And today we're going to talk about job opportunities and how to actually find jobs on the web. And we have with us Louis and Boyan with Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Nice to be here, Frank.
Yeah, likewise. And we're going to talk about the Discoverability Network. And maybe, Louis, you can tell us a little bit more about the history of how did this job portal or web portal start? How was the inception of that idea?
Well, we started working with the AODA about 7-8 years ago. And the focus of our efforts at that time were to help companies better understand the requirements under that piece of legislation and how do you break down barriers for persons with disabilities, whether it's for employment purposes or whether it was to access consumer goods and services. Mm-hmm. And from there, we quickly came to understand that there was a gap. So there's a gap in the marketplace in terms of the number of people with disabilities that were accessing jobs in their communities. And we also understood that there's a talent gap when it comes to businesses. In fact, and you know this, Frank, our own surveys at the Ontario Chamber of Commerce have told us that 77% of our members, their number one issue is talent, finding the right talent to help their companies grow and prosper. So we thought, boy, there's an opportunity here, not only for the job seeker, but also the business community. And that's how the Discoverability Network was born. We were quite pleased to get seed money from the province of Ontario. They helped us get it started. We had 9 other business associations that came to the table. So it was really a collaborative approach, because these kinds of efforts, as you know, can't just be accomplished by any one organization or person. It really needs to be collaborative.
No, absolutely. And so when you speak about AODA, that's accessibility directives that the government has kind of implemented?
Yeah, that's the legislation that came into place with the view to have a fully accessible Ontario by the year 2025. Mm-hmm. So we branched out from helping business understand their requirements under that, whether it was the customer service standard, whether it was design of open spaces, whether it was the transportation parameters, whether it was the employment standard. And then we decided, because of the need from both the job seeker side and the business side, to create an opportunity where they could find each other, because there is a job mismatch out there. Mm-hmm. It's been well documented. And so the Discoverability Network is a network that was put together to help bridge that gap.
Nice. So Boyan, as part of sort of this portal or this collective of aggregated information, I guess, of employment opportunities, how does that all work? How does it generate opportunities for persons looking for employment? Maybe give us an idea.
Well, yes, it's a portal powered by Magnet, which is a job matching technology. It has a job board, and the job board allows the job seeker to access actually 3 job boards, which are Magnet. They can look up jobs that are in Magnet. They can use Magnet to look up jobs that are on Indeed or Job Canada Bank. But in addition to using it as a job board, the real feature is that it's a matching tool. So when a person uploads their resumes and builds a good profile, opportunities that line up with the skills and experience that the job seeker has put in, will be sent to the person's email to apply. And then we can talk later now about how, in addition, it has a unique self-declaration feature, which is confidential, and that provides an additional advantage to people who choose to use it.
So with that self-declaration, we're talking about a person who has maybe a disability barrier.
Exactly.
And so they have to self-declare that they have a disability of some sort, and they actually create a profile in this program, right?
Yes.
And so how does that all work? So what happens is that maybe some individual may say, well, do I need to self-declare that I have a disability? What is the advantage of being, declaring that when you upload your profile?
Yeah, well, good question. So there are two sides of the platform. There's the employer side and the job seeker side.
Right.
They both have separate logins.
Right.
So when the employer uploads a job, they can choose to use different filters to target their audience of who they would prefer to have the job sent to. So if they choose to use filters, and one of them is the diversity filters, then the posting would get sent to people who have self-identified that they belong into certain equity groups, such as persons with disability, confidentially. The employer at the same time would not know who is receiving the job until those people choose to apply and then disclose their belonging to an equity group to the employer. So it's completely confidential. It's just that the point is, if a person self-declares as a person with disability,
Right.
then they will have access to opportunities, or they will be pushed jobs that have been targeted towards the equity group. And the benefit of that is that there are a lot less people applying for those jobs. While at the same time, it does not exclude them from just general job opportunities, so they're getting the best of both worlds.
So it enhances their opportunities, truly.
It enhances, for example,
Yeah.
job A and job B. Employer A may have a general job posting,
Right.
and employer B may choose to have a must-have filter for a person with disability.
Right.
So if assuming Louis and I have the same skill set, this is hypothetical, right? The same experience, and he doesn't self-declare, but I do. And so the two employers, hypothetical employers on the platform, one chooses to do targeted recruiting, the other one does not.
Right.
So Louis would only get the one that did not, he would only get invitation to apply for a
Right.
job for the one who is not doing the targeted recruiting, whereas I would get both.
Right.
And the employer who is not doing the targeted recruiting would have no idea that I have a
Exactly.
disability. So it cannot be a disadvantage,
Yeah.
just an advantage.
Right. And this is what makes this portal so different from the other portals that are out there. There's a lot of thought that went into this. Yeah.
There was a lot of thought. I have to tell you, we talked to a lot of groups.
Yeah.
We talked to a lot of organizations. We talked to obviously persons with disabilities to try and understand what some of the gaps were.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that we learned early on was that, businesses are very, very good at running their businesses. I mean, we're talking small businesses. The president of the business is usually doing 17, 18 things. Right? Because they don't have full-blown departments, like HR departments. They don't have that luxury because the company isn't large enough. So what we learned was navigation is an issue. So if companies are looking to tap into this demographic, really it was important to help companies understand what is the process to tap into the demographic. And again, that's where that discoverability network really came into its own, because the network itself, it's a portal, not just a website. I think this is the difference, because there's websites are websites. They have limited capacity to do certain things. With a portal, you can have a whole job matching platform in the background with algorithms. It's like a dating service for people looking for jobs and
Matching up.
Yeah, and matching up, and individuals looking and companies looking for job seekers. And with the algorithms, as Boyan said, the jobs are pushed to you. So it's not as if you have
So
to be
good.
scanning a job board all the time, trying to figure out, am I qualified for this job, or do I match for that
Right.
job? Once an individual puts their information and their resume in the system, the jobs that they match for will be automatically pushed to them. Then they choose whether they wish to apply or not. Also on the website part of the network, there's a lot of information there for employers.
Yeah.
So if you're an employer and you're looking to understand the demographic, you're looking to understand the types of skill sets that are available, if you're looking to understand the types of questions you can and can't ask, if you're looking to source talent from this
well, that's the
demographic,
thing, and I think
it's
a
all
lot
there.
of employers sometimes are a little hesitant because they may not know. It might be, how do I approach someone with a disability? What are the requirements? What are the expectations? And I noticed on your site you have something called the roadmap, which I thought was fantastic because it answers a lot of these questions. Individuals, companies, can go to the roadmap, and a lot of these questions are answered for them. I thought that was a really great way to educate, right? To educate the employer, educate the consumer on what's going on, right?
It's 6 simple steps.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about
So
that?
a company can go into the steps.
Yeah.
They can skip steps. It's not sequential. You can go in, you can look at the high-level information that applies to each step, or you can do a deeper dive, because there's all kinds of detailed information, whether you're trying to understand the business case for hiring, whether you're trying to understand how to create an accessible interview, whether you're trying to understand the accommodation process, because that always comes up, right? So it's not just about hiring,
Yeah.
it's also about retention. So there's information there about the platform and Magnet and how to use it. There's one of the key, I'll give you a quick tip there, when people talk about accommodation, sometimes accommodation, people sometimes are unsure about it.
Exactly.
Even though, we've been accommodating in the business community forever, ever since I was a young man, we've been accommodating, it's still a question that comes up. So one of the quick tips on there is ask the person, ask the
Right.
individual,
Right.
because they understand their needs, and then that can be meshed into the company's needs as well.
Right, and so that actually helps sort of to transition into a new employment role, or vice versa, for the employer to feel a little bit more comfortable in terms of interviewing that individual or that candidate for the job, being well prepared, being educated, and I think it breaks down a lot of barriers too, right? It's important.
And that's the whole idea, is
Right.
to dispel some of the myths
Yes.
that create barriers, because sometimes when we don't have full knowledge of the subject matter, I know myself, what do? When I don't have full knowledge, I start to make it up. And when I start to make things up, I get it wrong.
Right.
I have to admit I get it wrong. So we tried to put a lot of information on there about the entire the business case, dispelling the myths, making sure the connections platform works properly. So another thing we do on there, we have a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos, there's a lot of content that helps businesses and job seekers see the success stories.
That's great. That's
So they can
terrific.
see what other businesses have already done. They can see how hiring from this demographic has helped the businesses grow their businesses and prosper in their communities. So there's a lot of information there, both for the job seeker and for the business.
So I know the viewers watching this are probably going, well, can you give me the address for this wonderful site? So maybe
Boyan, I have to turn to Boyan for that. Boyan, what's our
How do
URL?
they find you?
Yeah, no, it's quite simple. It's HTTP and then the double dash discoverability, one word,
Yes.
.network.
Network. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to post that up on the interview as well, so people can find out where to go, so they can navigate to your site and find out all about those opportunities. Now, opportunities are also like for interns or students or part-time, casual work.
Yes.
Like there's
All kinds.
the whole gambit, right?
Yes.
So that's great. So I know, Boyan, when we first met, you were a great facilitator. You actually gave us a great orientation to our staff here at the channel about utilizing this portal. And so what are next steps for you now? I mean, as part of what you do, you go out and demonstrate and facilitate, sort of provide information on what's available.
Yes, and not only that, we have quite a few colleges and universities as well as service providers on board. So right now it has slowed down over the summer with colleges, but we will resume in the fall. And what we are doing, say with service providers, is we are happy to attend sessions. You know, service providers for people with disabilities, they usually have seminars like resume workshops, interview workshops, and then because this is a tool dedicated to help people with disabilities get connected, quite a few have actually agreed to do a discoverability workshop where we have a PowerPoint presentation and a computer, and we actually help job seekers with all the steps of the process, signing up onto the platform, self-declaring, uploading the resume, and building the whole profile. And we also explain the benefits of being on the platform and actually sign up people onto the platform, and we're happy to do that. Same with colleges and university, but we'll continue in the fall.
No, that's excellent. So you're kind of, one-on-one kind of coaching people
Yes.
and through the whole system and allowing them to kind of register and move through the process, which is
Exactly.
that's excellent service. And that's what a lot of things are, is it's service excellence, right?
Yes.
Getting people engaged into what you're doing in terms of the platform. And now you talk about summer being slow, but I'm sure during this lull time, you're planning things for the future, right? So
Yes.
maybe you can tell us about next steps.
Yeah, you're right. We're in the planning stages, and we're taking a look at what has worked for us, what hasn't worked as well as it should have for us. So we're planning to do certain things in the fall. We're prepping. What we've started doing is creating some hubs.
Oh, nice.
So we've created some hiring hubs. The first one is in southwestern Ontario. We're working with service providers there. We're working with both the university and the community, and also the college. And we're working with the local municipality and the local Chamber of Commerce. So this is in Windsor, Essex, so the Windsor, Essex Chamber of Commerce. And what we're doing there is we're trying to bring together the job seeker side and the employer side through the platform. So we've run events in the community. We've run social media campaigns, and it's driving both companies and the job seekers into the portal, and then the matching is happening. And across the entire, and I should give a stat, and I should give a stat of what's happening in the entire network. So across the entire Discoverability network, over the past 4 to 5 months, there's been 15,000 matches.
Wow.
That means
so
there's,
impressive.
this is there's about 800 new people came into the system through the Discoverability.network
Nice.
URL, and of the jobs that have been posted, 15,000 matches have been sent to them.
Wow.
And then
That's
they
great.
get that chance to take a look at the job, take a look if it's for them, and make that decision whether they want to apply or not. And again, I can't stress enough, it's fully confidential. It's a confidential platform. When people come into the Discoverability Network, they can either choose to self-declare or not choose to self-declare. That is up to them, but it is a confidential self-declaration.
And employers, what type of employers are there? How do employers? I like what you're doing with the hubs. You're introducing employers to this, the portal, which is great. But how do you find all the employers to sign? Like, how does that work?
We do that through events. We
Okay.
work with our local chamber network.
Nice.
There's also, because we're part of the greater Magnet platform, that was developed through Ryerson University. You have all kinds of employers, about 10 to 15,000 employers already posting jobs on the site. So it's a matter of get your resume into the system, and then if there's a match there, that job will be pushed to you. So you have those employers that are just using the site for recruiting purposes, and then there's those employers that would use the Discoverability site for the targeted recruiting from this particular demographic.
That is the advantage.
That's
right?
the advantage.
So success stories. Tell me about success stories or
Well,
feedback. Or,
The feedback we're getting is the matches are there.
good.
Okay, I talked about the 15,000 matches, which for us actually kind of surprised us. You know,
Really?
we didn't think it would be so high.
But that's
You know,
excellent.
That's
I'm
excellent.
sure
It's
been an
excellent.
increase.
So in this phase, what we've been trying to do is test and pilot the system,
Right.
pilot the matching, pilot the creation of the hubs, and we're extremely happy with what's happened to date. Now, the next step is what we're going to be doing is circling back with people through surveys to see how many of those interview opportunities resulted in actual jobs.
That would be
So
incredible.
that's phase two. So we have, and that's part of our planning stage. And then in the fall, we hope to come out with, I won't name the campaign yet, but we hope to come out with a campaign in some of the local hubs that we're operating and partnering in to try and drive more employers into the system. So it's a matter of, and again, this is always a delicate balance, right? You need job
Jobs,
seekers,
yep.
and job seekers will drive job ads,
Right.
but you need job ads to drive job seekers.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg.
Right.
But we've managed to make it work because we're working both sides of the equation at the same time.
Very nice, and that's the advantage too. But again, this service is free. There's no cost to anyone for this service, right? So
Absolutely free service. We've been very fortunate to have partners like the province that have provided the seed funding to allow the service to be free.
that's excellent. I guess in closing, I'd like to thank both of you for joining us on Socially Served today. And again, if you want to give out that website address, Boyan, you want to give the website
Yes.
address to our viewers?
So it's HTTP and then the colon and the double slash discoverability.network.
So it's a pleasure having you both on Socially Served today and discovering all the possibilities that are out there for our viewers and continue doing the great work that you're doing. I think it's amazing. I'd like to have you come back with some, actually maybe some interviews with some of the employers that are involved in your program, and talk to individuals maybe who have used the portal themselves and have obtained jobs and opportunities. That would be amazing. So thank you once again, both of you, for joining us on Socially Served. And thank you, viewers, for joining us on Socially Served, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you very much, Frank.
You're welcome.